Hello Game Boys and Game Girls, I'm the Game Boy Guru and welcome to my final pickups video of the year. All of my acquisitions for the month of December. Lots to cover this month, and that's because I made a few trips a couple places. I got some stuff in the mail, I got some stuff sent to me, I've got some things that came that I ordered a month or more ago. Some stuff I pre-ordered. So let's just jump right in and take a look at some of this stuff. So first things first, I thought I would give a shout out to Addicted from RF Generation. He is my co-host for Shoot the Core Cast, and he sent this to me in the mail. I had sent him a PS2 memory card so that he could set that up with free McBoot for me, and he graciously did so and sent it back with this. So thank you for this. I think other than the Tales from the Borderlands game, this is the only other Borderlands game that I didn't already own in some form or fashion. So thanks for that. Appreciate that. Before I jump into all the games, I wanted to show you a few computer items that I bought. And it'll become apparent as to why here in just a moment. So I bought a Logitech TrackMan trackball there, and you can kind of see a picture of it on the back. I'm not going to actually show it to you because I'm already using it. But yeah, I bought a trackball. I haven't had a trackball in a long time. I used to have one, years ago. Logitech trackball that was kind of this light gray, and it was a serial device. And so I used to use it on really old computers and quite liked that. So I thought I would give a trackball a try again. But this one's wireless and kind of getting used to the feel of it again. We'll see how it goes here over the next few days. To go with that, I also bought this Razer Ornata Chroma keyboard. And this is a really neat keyboard. It's got super clicky mechanical keys. And it's got this really cool effect where the keyboard is all lit up with LEDs underneath, colored LEDs, and it kind of changes color over time, and it's a really cool effect. Spent a little bit more for it than I normally would on a keyboard. I'm kind of a cheapskate when it comes to these sorts of things, and I don't tend to spend this kind of money on myself for these sorts of items. The last time I bought a fancy keyboard, it was a lit keyboard that had LEDs underneath, and it was just a single color, and you could either go high, low, or off. I'm still using that on my desktop. That is kind of my old computer, and I run that as my media server, and it still works, and I was using it this morning. But this is for the new gaming computer that I've got set up in the living room. Speaking of which, in order to make that into the gaming computer that I needed, and that I wanted, and that I was going to use specifically, I needed a video card. So I got this EVGA GeForce GTX 1060. It is the 6 gig model, as you can see here, and card's already installed, so I'm not going to, show it off, but it's very, very large. It's a two. It takes up 2 slots on the motherboard. And so it's very big. In fact, the motherboard that's in that machine, I almost didn't have room to install the other piece of equipment that I have that I'll show off next, but I was able to just squeak it in. And that is the Elgato HD60 Pro. This is a capture card, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it here in the video, but it's right here, and it's got an in and an out HDMI. What that means is I'm going to be able to start capturing footage in a much better way so that I can hopefully make better videos for all of you and have a better setup in order to do my Game Boy reviews. It also means that I'm going to be able to stream. I did a test stream a couple of days ago for those of you who, or I guess it was yesterday, for those of you who may not have been paying to my channel here in the last few days. You can go there and check out the test stream that I did. I spent a few minutes very poorly playing Infinos Gaiden on PC, and I did some testing this morning with my Switch connected to it and recording footage of me very poorly playing Strikers 1945. And so I'm going to be using this to start streaming. I'm hoping to actually start streaming tomorrow, January 1st, 2019, because as I've mentioned on the channel before, I've got a tradition that I've done where on the first of the year, I take an indie game and I play it, and I start playing it that day, early in the morning, and I go all day and I see how far I can get with it. The first year I did, I played Shovel Knight, and I was able to complete it before the end of the day. The second year, I played Freedom Planet, and I didn't quite get through the game that first day. I think I maybe hit the 2/3 point or something like that. The year after that, I did Axiom Verge, and that took a few days to get through. But this year, as I make this video, January 1st, 2018, I did not have the ability to do any of that because, as those of you who've been paying attention to my channel will know, I made a big move at the beginning of the year. So I was in the midst of packing up all my stuff, and all my game consoles were basically all unhooked and in the process of being packed up. So I didn't really have the ability to play anything at the beginning of the year. I probably could have done something on my Switch, just played it portably, but realistically, I was busy packing and getting ready to move. So I'm going to reassert that tradition starting tomorrow, and my tentative plan is to play The Messenger on the Nintendo Switch, which is kind of that 8/16-bit Ninja Gaiden inspired action platformer. So I'm going to try and do that tomorrow, and I'm going to try and stream it for as much of the day as I can. And to help me do that, I also bought the 8BitDo or 8BitDo SF30 Pro Bluetooth gamepad. I was an early adopter of the Switch, as I've mentioned a few times, and I was an early adopter of the Pro Controller. I bought that within the first probably 2 or 3 months of owning the Switch. And for those of you who are early adopters as well, you know that the D-pad on the Pro Controller is not the best. For all the excellent D-pads that Nintendo has made over the years, for some reason, the one on the Switch Pro Controller, at least in its original form, is a little janky. Corners are way too easy to trigger, and it just doesn't feel as good as even the Wii U Pro Controller, for example. So I decided to buy this because it's small and compact. I take my Switch with me to work, and I can play at the office. Now that I have the flip grip, I thought, I can use the flip grip and the little instruction card that comes with it. You stick it in the back, and then kind of sets up so that the flip grip kind of sets up like this with the card holding it up, and then I'll be able to hold this in my hands and actually, play with this with hopefully a better D-pad, since it's modeled after the Super NES controller, and use that instead. So this is probably what I'll be using, assuming I get it paired with my Switch and all working correctly today. This is probably what I'll be using to play The Messenger tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to doing this. I've been charging this since it arrived earlier today in the mail, and looking forward to giving this a go. Okay, now let's get into some stuff that I picked up throughout the course of the month. I stopped at one of the game shops that I like to go to in kind of the next big city over, and speaking of the flip grip, I forgot to mention that I got that, and so yeah, there's the box for it. The flip grip is actually in the other room because I've been using it, but there's the box, and it's a neat accessory. So if you're into the Switch and you're into vertically oriented games such as shoot 'em ups or things like Donkey Kong or the Arcade Punch-Out release and a handful of other games, I know there are some games on the SNK 40th Anniversary Pack or on the Namco Museum Arcade Pack that are compatible with the vertical orientation to where you can rotate your Switch and hold it vertically, and so lots of those games support it. But I stopped at one of the game stores I like to go to, and I picked up a few things. I got Psychic World for the Game Gear, one of those games that I remember reading about years ago, and I think I messed around with it ever so slightly via emulation and thought it was pretty cool, but I haven't seen it in the wild forever, and so when I saw it at a really good price, I picked it up almost immediately. And I'm going to try and slip these out of here. I also picked up a couple of PSP games. I thought I had this already, but apparently I did not already own a copy of SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs Fireteam Bravo 3. So yeah, now I finally have that, and I finally have all of the SOCOM games on the PSP, along with Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Predator. Did not have that one yet either, which kind of surprised me because most of these games are fairly common in the wild. I also grabbed some manuals that I didn't have, and so I got Spyro Season of Ice. I've got that one on Game Boy Advance, that game. Got Pac-Man Special Color Edition for the Game Boy Color. Got the manual for Ken Griffey Presents Major League, or Ken Griffey Jr., I should say, Presents Major League Baseball. I've got the not-for-resale version of that. And then I also bought the NES manual for Saycross, which is one of the, I guess you call it a shmup. It's sort of like futuristic racing on hover bikes, if you will, but you're essentially shooting things and obstacles and other racers off the course as you're going along, and it auto scrolls. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's a shmup. Then I went to another game shop that I like to go to, and I almost always pick up new Game Boy games when I'm there, or new to me anyway, because they almost always have something that I don't have. Somehow he seems to get in good trades from people that they get stuff that I don't have in my collection yet. So I finally got a copy of Klax for the Game Boy, along with Word Zap from Jaleco, Q*bert, or as it says on the label, Q*bert for Game Boy. Not sure why they were so specific. Dragonheart, Sports Illustrated Championship Football and Baseball. Another one of those games that, with the Sports Illustrated name, could mean that there was some oversight in it, or it could just be that they licensed the name, and I don't know about Malibu Games, so who knows? This could be completely terrible, or it could be surprisingly okay. We shall see. And also, finally got Spider-Man and X-Men. So, very glad to have those and knock 6 more games off the list as I creep my way toward the 506 licensed US titles in the library. The other game that I got at that same store is one that I've been after forever, and that is Conduit 2 on the Wii. When I go to game stores everywhere in this area, they almost always all have a copy of Conduit, if not 2 copies, sitting on the shelf in their Wii section. But Conduit 2, I never see. Well, I went to this particular store that day, and they happened to have 2 of them. So that was a very cool deal that I was able to find that. That same day, I forgot to mention this. I picked this up at one of the stores as well. Just the box for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. I should say the box and the extra stuff. You know, the poster and the warranty card and that, and then the little tray that the game sits in, but no manual. I already have this game, so I just need to find a manual in order to complete this. Unfortunately, it's the worst of the 3 Game Boy TMNT games. This game has some really cheap and unfair game design. Definitely not Konami's finest hour on the handheld, but still, as a TMNT fan, as a Game Boy fan, and since the box was in really good condition overall, I decided pretty much was going to go for that regardless. A couple more things that I bought while I was there were a couple of shmups, NES shmups to be exact. So I bought Sky Shark, which this copy is just game and box, and then also the styrofoam insert. But since I had just purchased the manual not more than a month or so ago to go with my card copy, I now have a complete unboxed copy of Sky Shark. So very happy to have that. I also saw this and decided that I had to have it as well. It is a complete copy of Life Force. Now, my cartridge copy of Life Force that I've had forever is a little rough. The label's coming off at the end. It's kind of curled up and frayed, and so this is a very clean, nice copy of the game. And the manual's in good shape, the box is in reasonably good shape, and so I decided this was a good buy no matter what, because this is a great game and one that I'm finally happy that I have complete. So very nice to find those in the wild. The reason I was at that store on that particular day is that I was meeting a fellow RF Generation member, Beardcore 84, so that I could pick up some stuff that I was purchasing from him, which includes some NES manuals, and that would be Contra, Batman, Jackal, one of my favorite go-to NES titles, Gyrus, Adventures of Dino Ricky, Cobra Command, Galaga, Demons of Death, aka Galaga, not sure why they subtitled it, and Airwolf. Along with those manuals, I also got boxes. So I got NES boxes for Airwolf, Defender 2, Dragon Spirit, Gyrus, Starship Hector, Twin Cobra, and Tiger Heli. So now I'll be able to complete at least 2 or 3 of my NES shmups and be well on my way to completing a few more, because for the ones that didn't have manuals and that I don't already have manuals for, these manuals should not be very expensive to acquire. So these will be easy completions. One of the things I love is, as you can see, these are all in box protectors. And it's not something that I've done yet with my NES collection or with any of my cardboard box game collection, but I think I like these enough that I might go there. I need to price it out and see. I don't have that many boxed games that are sitting out on the shelf here. You know, I've got a handful of Atari games, a handful of NES games, a handful of Game Boy and Game Boy Color and Advance games, and a handful of Game Gear games, and a handful of Super NES games, and a small handful of Sega Genesis cardboard box games. So I'll have to run the numbers and see what it's going to cost to plastic cover all of those. But if it's not too bad, I might take the plunge. So we'll have to wait and see how that shapes up. So that already gets me a good start to the month, because that stuff I got, and then those game stores that I went to, was the day after I recorded last month's pickups video. I also went and, as always, like to go to different stores. I went to Half Price Books while I was there at in that area, and I picked up a couple of Xbox games and a PlayStation 2 game that I didn't have, which is Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy. This is the greatest hits version, of course. I also got Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, and this is one that I don't know that I've seen in the wild, or if I have, it's been in either bad shape or incomplete. But this one was in pretty good shape and complete, and so I thought I should pick that up because it actually looks like it's kind of a cool game. And then, for some reason, I didn't have this one already, and that's Medal of Honor European Assault. I actually quite like this game. I played through it on the PS2 here about, 3 or 4 years ago. Except I reached the final area, but I could never beat the final boss. That's just an evil section that I've never been able to get past. But I was surprised I didn't have this on the Xbox, and so I decided to go ahead and pick it up, especially because this version actually supports 480p. So if I do decide to play through this one again and really give it a go to try and beat this one, I'll probably do it on the Xbox. I stopped at GameStop just before Christmas to pick up a couple of things, and then I also grabbed something at Walmart because I had to make a trip there for some last-minute stuff right before Christmas. And so I picked up a Wii game I didn't have, and that is Death Jr. Root of Evil. Also got a couple of Nintendo Switch games on the recommendation of Grey Ghost 81 from the RF Generation Playcast. They were talking about that during a recent episode about different games they've been playing, and one of them that he talked about was Victor Vran. And so this is Victor Vran Overkill Edition, and it includes, it looks like some DLC, and some of that has to do with Motorhead, as in the band Motorhead, and there's a picture of Lemmy Kilmister on the back. And so that's pretty cool that they've, combined this sort of Diablo-style hack and slash with Motorhead. So cool. I go for that. And I also got the Toki Retrolector Edition box. This is a modern reimagining, if you will, of the Toki arcade and Sega Genesis and other platform game. I'm not sure who or why they decided to do this, but as a longtime fan of the arcade game and the Genesis game, this was an easy buy for me. Unfortunately, this doesn't come with anything super spectacular. It does have this kind of interesting little mini arcade cabinet thing that you can sort of put your Switch into. I probably won't build it just because I want to keep it in good shape, but it does have a comic book, which is kind of neat. I'll probably read through that. It's got a sticker sheet, some lithographs and that, but primarily this is just another excuse for me to go through and play Toki again. This is probably one of those that I'll take to the office with me and play on lunch break and have some good nostalgia and enjoy. As I said, I also went to Walmart and finally picked up the Sega Genesis collection. And so now I'm going to have a ton of Sega Genesis games to take and play at the office with me, or to just play whenever. This collection has a lot of the games that was on the Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection on PS3 and Xbox 360, but adds some additional games, and of course, this version is portable, so I can take this anywhere now. So that alone made it worth the purchase. And of course, I couldn't go through the month of December without purchasing some more shmups, or receiving some more shmups in the mail. Other than those boxes and those two NES games that I already mentioned. So this one arrived just today. This is 1942 for the Game Boy Color. Of course, we already talked about 1942 on Shoot the Corecast here a little over a month ago. And the Game Boy Color port, while not perfect, is actually kind of decent. And as I mentioned on the podcast, I think I got about halfway through the game on my second try. So I figured this would be a nice one to kind of scratch off the list next year, one that I can probably sit down and within a few plays get a clear. An easy 1cc to put on my list for next year to kind of bolster the list of games I've completed. Finally got in the mail one that I had pre-ordered a while ago, and that is Shikondo Soul Eater. This was an exclusive, physically anyway, from Play Asia, released through East Asia Soft, and this is the special edition. So of course it comes with the main game, as you see here, which is pretty cool because it does have a manual, yay, and the inner art. I guess you could make it reversible if you wanted to, but there's the art, and then inside is the art for one of the creepy bosses in the game. So I suppose you could reverse it if you wanted to, but I always like it when they make the art work both either in a reversible fashion or just make it so that the art works on the inside as well, so that you've got something more interesting to look at when you open the case besides just the game cartridge and or manual. And of course, this comes with a soundtrack CD, the manual, and then a certificate of authenticity. And so I'll just show you real quick here. This stuff. So here's my certificate number. I got 2075 out of 3000. Another look at that creepy spider boss, and some kind of cool art there on the back. And then, of course, the CD soundtrack with spine card. And those are always fun to try and keep track of. So, yeah, Shikondo Soul Eater. It's a Danmaku or bullet hell shoot 'em up. Reception, I think, has been somewhat mixed on the game, but I think after the initial patch that was released, I think people are a little bit warmer on the game than they were after it first came out. So I haven't got a chance to put much time into this yet, but especially now that between the flip grip and the 8-bit Do controller, I ought to be able to hopefully play a little bit better and put some time into that. This was a fun buy. I got this off a Facebook group, and this is Mushi Himasame Futari 1.5. And this is, of course, the special edition. So you open this up, and not only does it have the game inside, but it also has a soundtrack CD with spine card. And this is actually still sealed, because this copy is new, or yeah, it's new. This is still sealed. And there's the game, of course. So glad to have this. Unfortunately, I don't yet have a Japanese Xbox 360, and this one is not region free, like some of the shoot 'em ups. Most of the cave shoot 'em ups are unfortunately not region free. I do plan on either getting a Japanese 360 or modding my console to be able to play these Japanese games. But this is my first Japanese 360 game, so pretty cool that it ended up being a special edition and one that's actually new. But thank you, Steve, for hooking me up with that. Also got in the mail the other day, once again from Play Asia, the Saikyo Collection Volume 2. So now I have Strikers 1945 2, Gunbird 2, which now I have something that is more akin to the original arcade version, because I also have the Dreamcast version, which adds Morrigan as a playable character, Tengai, or Sengoku Blade, and Dragon Blaze, which is probably my favorite traditional Saikyo shmup. Traditional in the sense of it's my favorite of the vertically scrolling, sprite-based shoot-'em-ups that they released during their biggest period. Now, I know that they also did, Zero Gunner and Zero Gunner 2. Zero Gunner 2 Minus is slated to be released on the next collection. I'll be buying that, but I haven't played any of those games yet. But of all the Saikyo stuff I've played, Dragon Blaze so far is my favorite, so I'm looking forward to that. And I also got the Fast Striker limited edition reissue on PS4, and of course this has the game, the soundtrack, a manual, and certificate of authenticity. I'm not going to open this up and go through it, just because I don't want to. I want to leave this in the plastic until I'm actually ready to play it. Got this from Amazon the other day with some of the other stuff I showed earlier, which is Assault Suit Lenos. Not strictly a shmup, but shmup adjacent, I'll say. More of a run and gun, but have a lot of shmup-like elements. And this is kind of an update to the Assault Suit Lenos series that we saw over here in games like Target Earth, or I think Cybernator was maybe part of that series as well. So yeah, looking forward to checking that one out. I've heard that's pretty good. I got a pre-order finally in, and this is from Red Art Games, and that is Ice Cream Surfer. And it also came with this fun little box with a stick on it, and it's just a red candy sucker. I'm not going to take the sucker out of the box, I've already looked at it, but yeah, it's kind of a neat little extra item. Looks like they're doing that for a lot of their pre-orders, because I see that on another game that they've got up for pre-order now. But yeah, Ice Cream Surfer, it's a very cartoony shoot 'em up. I want to say this was already released digitally previously on Wii U and PS4, but they did a physical version, and as a collector of shmups, I decided this is one of those that, even if it's not the best game ever, it would be cheaper to pre-order it and have the physical version now versus trying to go back and collect it later when people are asking 3 times the price. Speaking of additional shmups that I pre-ordered, I also got this one here that I got through Strictly Limited Games, which is Gundamoniums. And I went ahead and ordered the special edition, which I thought was going to come with an outer box, but I guess not. So it comes with the main game here, which is an updated version of Gundamonium. I think the S on the end is just a way to differentiate this from the original PC release. And it also came with this cool postcard with the art on it, and the Gundamonium soundtrack CD. So that was pretty cool. Another one from PlayAsia that I got was Stormwind. This is, of course, a reprint of the game. It's not the original jewel case version with the sort of pilot helmet on it, nor is it, of course, the limited edition in a DVD case. But Stormwind for the Dreamcast. I still need to get a VGA or HDMI box for my Dreamcast so I can get it hooked up. But Addicted, my co-host for Shoot the Corecast, this is a game that he loves and has been recommending this one to me forever. So it's one that I've wanted, and since it's been reprinted and is now available for, you know, basically a retail price instead of an aftermarket price, I decided to jump on that. And I'm going to step into the next room because I just realized that the last 2 games I wanted to show off are actually sitting over there. So I'm going to go grab those. So these last 2 games are the game Paradise Cruise and Mix Special. This was again through PlayAsia, and this is a reissue or re-release by M2, I want to say. Nope, I guess it was through Cine Connection and Katakawa Games. I thought maybe M2 was involved in the programming of this one, but I guess not. But it is a re-release of the arcade and later Sega Saturn game, Game Tengoku. And essentially it is a send-up, a parody shoot-'em-up, much like Parodius or Star Parodier, of a number of Jaleco properties. And so I think because some of those properties and IPs have gone on to be bought out by other companies, this had to be a joint project in order to get this released. Unfortunately, even though this Cruise and Mix special version comes with some extra DLC that is exclusive to this, which is the ability to play the Tatsujin ship, or Truxton. And so that craft is available as a selectable character in this. But unfortunately, a couple of the characters that were available on the Saturn version of the game, which the Saturn or Arranged mode is in here, but those 2 additional characters have been taken out of this version and are now DLC that you have to pay for, which is kind of... I don't like that, but I understand, because it's probably something where that was probably how they had to do it because of the licensing. So in any event, I'm happy to have this because the Saturn original has become rather expensive to own, and so at least as an ability to play the game, this is the legit way to do it now. It's also on Steam, but of course, being the collector that I am, I had to have the physical version. And last but not least is Ketsui. Ketsui Destiny, as the title says, and it's not only the game, but it also comes with this fun little booklet, which is the Mechanic Designer's Discussion and also Sound Creator's Discussion. And so this is a really cool shoot 'em up from Cave. This is M2 Shot Triggers that did this. And this, the physical version comes with the DLC on the disc. So it has an arranged version of the soundtrack from Jake Kaufman, aka Vert. And it also has this IKD 2007 special, which I'm not 100% sure what that means yet. I haven't looked that up to determine what that is. But this comes with the original arcade version. It comes with a super easy mode to kind of learn the game mechanics and all that. It also has Destiny mode, which is a really cool arranged mode of the game that changes up the scoring mechanics and the play mechanics, and it's a really neat and fun way to play the game. I was just getting destroyed in the arcade version, despite the fact that the Destiny portion, I think in part refers to the tiny hitbox of both of the 2 super helicopter craft, but the Destiny mode is definitely easier than the arcade mode. Somehow I managed a 1cc of Destiny mode on my first try after banging my head against the wall for about 45 minutes on the arcade mode. But yeah, it's definitely easier than the arcade version. I'll probably go back and do the super easy mode just to see, if I can, again, help learn the patterns and learn the scoring mechanics a little bit better. The main game, one of the big mechanics in it is that you score higher, or your bonus multiplier goes up the closer you are to your enemy when you destroy them. So point blanking definitely garners you a better score. Now, of course, you don't do that and play for survival, but if you want to go for score, you point blank, because as you destroy enemies, you earn these chips, they're called, and they have numbers on them from 1 to 5. 5, of course, being the highest number of chip and also the highest multiplier and the best in terms of score. And so you want to point blank enemies, and you want to do that in order to get the higher multiplier, the higher score, and then, of course, a quicker way to earn extends. But it's a really cool game, and it's definitely something that I'm going to need to put more time into, but I have already very much enjoyed the little bit of time I've already put into Ketsui. The original arcade soundtrack is sublime, and I'm looking forward to hearing the Jake Kaufman arrangement. And I was listening to, or I watched a video of someone playing through Destiny mode the way I did, and I didn't really have time to soak in the soundtrack when I was playing it. I just kind of, was white-knuckling it the whole time. But watching someone else play it, of course, I could listen and appreciate the arranged soundtrack a little bit more. And so, anyway, highly recommended. I think this is still available through PlayAsia and also through Amazon Japan. I don't know what you had to do in order to get the booklet. I know there are some people who said they pre-ordered it, and then when they got their copy, they didn't get the booklet. So I don't know if I just pre-ordered mine in time, or if they're just choosing at random how they send those out. I'm thankful that I got it, but I can't say as to specifically why I got it. But the physical copy is still available, and of course it is available digitally on PlayStation 4. But I'm not a huge Danmaku fan, and Cave is a developer that I haven't really explored that much, but this is great. So I would definitely recommend this. That's all I have for you. That's all I have for 2018. And so make sure that you continue to follow my work here, and follow me into 2019, where I'm hoping that with the streaming and the game capture and everything, I'll be able to jump back on the Game Boy review train and get some more dramatic readings videos done. I've got a couple that I need to get done that I've been waiting on because of needing the ability to do Super Game Boy compatibility. And so I'm looking forward to finally being able to deliver those and get those out to you. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, and maybe even subscribing so that you can see more of my content in your YouTube feed. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Game Boy Guru. I'll have a link in the description below to my blog, where you can read my Game Boy reviews. That is gameboyguru.blogspot.com. Also, make sure you check out Nira and his channel. He provided the Super Mario Land overworld music that I use as the intro for my videos, and he's got a bunch of other great chiptune and game music covers as well, so make sure you go check those out. As I said, I'll be streaming tomorrow, or I'm going to try to stream tomorrow, so make sure you check that out if you haven't remembered to do that or written that down already. And everybody have a happy new year. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for playing, and game on.